burning the late night
Dr.
oil.
Milton Wright.
Milton Bradley.
Charlie, homie. Nah, this dude was...
Didn't he play for the Dodgers?
Milton Wright. Who, Milton Bradley?
Yeah.
Milton Bradley's some toy shit.
I know. There was a Milton that played for the Dodgers, I think.
Might have been. But no, this guy was a black dude from, I believe he was from Georgia. And he was going...
Your brother?
He was, hell yeah. He was out in an African American. I hate that term.
No, why'd you just use that term?
African American.
That's what it says?
No, fuck no. This was old school shit. This was
we
way
just
before.
clowning?
Yeah, I was totally clowning.
All right.
So he was out in Germany getting his Ph.D.
All right.
And while he was out there, his buddies, this is in 1932, some of his buddies, these German dudes, he spoke fluent German, by the way, they said, hey, let's go look at the new chancellor. His name's Adolf Hitler. Let's go watch him speak. So they go watch him speak. And during the course of the speech, fucking around, he turns to these German guys and he goes, yeah, I'd be down to assassinate that guy. And two of Hitler's fucking bodyguards from the SS heard that shit, bro. So they followed this fool back to his hotel room. And he just so happened to be staying at the same hotel as Adolf Hitler. So they snatched this fool up, bro.
That's some strange shit to say.
Yeah.
I'd be down to assassinate that guy.
Yeah. So they snatched this fool up and they take him back to the hotel. And Hitler fucking invites him to dinner, bro. And they sit down and this fool interviews Hitler, bro.
I said you want to assassinate me, huh?
Yeah. And this fool interviews him. And he said... this is what he says about the interview, about his time with Hitler. He goes, the time with Hitler was spent almost entirely by his asking me questions about the Negroes in the United States. Of course, I had little opportunity to answer any of his questions because he would no sooner ask a question than he would immediately proceed to give his own answer. When I would attempt to correct some of his versions of life in America, he would almost invariably break in with another question or comment. With that exception, he was most courteous to me. He spoke loudly, long, and with an air of authority.
So, tell me more about the Negroes, though, in America.
Right?
Jack Johnson, he's very strong, no?
Jack Johnson. It was a bit surprising to me that he seemed to know so much about Negroes in America. As I now recall, he mentioned the names of Booker T. Washington, Paul Robertson, Jack Johnson, W.C. Hardy, Florence Mills, Josephine Baker, the Scottsboro Boys, and a few others. The only ones he mentioned with any respect were the first two. He expressed the opinion that Negroes could not have much backbone because of the fact that they consistently allowed the whites to lynch them, beat them, segregate them without rising up against their oppressors. They must be definitely third-class people, he said. Minority groups always get the worst of it in conflicts like this. Like conflicts like race riots. Don't you think your people are destined perpetually to be slaves of one kind or another? Hitler's answer was an enthusiastic yes. Your people are a hopeless lot. I don't hate them. I pity the poor devils.
I wanted to slam your computer on your nub, but that would have been mean.
That would have been fucked up.
Because you're not Hitler.
Well, what it sounds like to me
no,
is...
I'm not mad at what he was saying.
But what he's observing is like, yo, why doesn't anyone fucking stand up for themselves?
And of course, that's the thing that I feel like subconsciously all races feel towards melanated people. And it's why I cringe when we continue to ask for people to feel bad or to understand our plight, is because to me, I'm like, yo, they do understand. And they are waiting for you to stand up and fight back and do something.
Right.
And also, it's a catch-22 because a lot of the movements here in the States have mimicked a lot of the black empowerment movements. So the model for what a peaceful movement looks like has come from the black empowerment movement. So are we more humanitarian or more evolved as a race because we don't fight back, or are we lower class because we don't fight back? That's the conundrum. I'm starting to lean towards, I don't say we're lower class. I think we're of higher purpose and more connected to the earth and more connected to the celestial, the God or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Through the pineal gland. But at the same time, I'm tired of being stepped on. So even though turning the other cheek has been something that has been like looked at, like to me in the black community as the right thing to do, and looked at as, there's power in that, being peaceful in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
At some point, it's like, yeah, bro, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I've never been an advocate of being violent, but protection for sure. Protect yourself, arm yourself. And to me, just stop supporting shit that isn't for you.
Right.
That's the main thing that I preach is like, if you understand that these people see you as less than, then why do you continue to want to look for support from these people
and acceptance?
That's dumb as fuck. So
for sure.
I'm like not on the fence. I'm like, I see both sides basically.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is like dumb not to fight back, but at the same time, I think it's because we come from a different lineage. Like, it's like killing is the last thing you want to do, or harming somebody is the last thing you want to do.
Well, he's also talking to fucking Hitler.
Yeah.
I don't know that Hitler wasn't a fucking,
but still, that sentiment, I think, is
that
still
fool's
valid,
fucking,
even though it's Hitler.
No, I'm saying the sentiment's valid, but I'm saying as far as wanting to, like, fight back and kill people, he seemed like he was down to fight and kill motherfuckers. That's what I'm saying. It's perception, too, of who you're talking to.
Now, is this the interview from the guy that you said was down to assassinate Hitler?
Yeah, he was joking around.
But then they went to lunch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is what came from that?
Yeah, because he's a Ph.D.
So
he's
this
like,
is the
fuck
guy
it.
now giving his account of that lunch?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Bro.
So then he goes on to say, I'll finish this real quick. It says, looking at me closely, he asked and said, among other things, aren't you proud to have this wonderful opportunity to study at a real university? You're getting here at Heidelberg, what you could not possibly get in America. Why do you seek a white man's education when you know or should know that you can never use it, at least as a white man can? So he's saying basically the opportunities at that time are not available to you.
Right.
Even in America.
Right.
You're going to take this dope education back to America, and you're not even going to be able to fucking be like a doctor, like a fucking...
Did I just agree with Hitler without agreeing with Hitler?
You did.
Damn, homie.
Well, what's interesting, bro, is they always try to act like the fucking, like the Germans were so racist. And I'm not saying they weren't, but they try to deflect the fact that America had the most racist policies at the time, bro.
And again, you got to define words. That's where the word magic is a trip, because racist, me and you talked about it before on this pod, and I went into it. That's the problem to me with what he just said with so-called African American black people, whatever you want to call them, whatever everybody else understands us to be, because that's not what I answer to, but for the sake of discussion, that's the problem right there. Is damn, I lost it with all that bullshit I just said. What were we talking about again?
Let's see. The last thing I said, that he wasn't able to racism. You were talking about racism.
Because racism is just about being for your race, and nothing's wrong with that. The only problem is when you want to kill somebody else that's not of your race, or make it hard for someone else to survive or to thrive because of said race. Like when Black Wall Street was attacked because of racist tactics, or because they didn't want to see black people thrive. Now that's racist, that needs to be addressed. But if you're just for your race, and you're racist, meaning that, let's say when we talk about money circulating in a community, if you want to see the money circulate in your community, that could be looked at as racist. That's why we got to be careful how we use these words. Now, if my practices are, what's the word I'm looking for? Not segregation, but if I discriminate against you
Yeah.
because of my feelings about race,
That's the one I want.
now there's a problem.
That's the one I'm talking about.
But if I'm just racist, meaning that I love my people and I'm for my race, but that doesn't mean that I don't love you too, and
Yeah.
I don't love other races as well, but I put
Yeah.
my people first,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's what he's
Yeah.
pretty much saying is
For
like,
sure.
because
That is what Hitler's saying.
because just like you broke down that California and I'm sure Texas and New York have pretty big economies to where they can rival countries around the world. Like when you break it down, you said we're the 5th largest economy in the world or something.
in the world.
Well, black people, based on economics, are a pretty big damn economy here in America. Black or African American, I like to call myself native, indigenous, you know. We have a pretty big economy our damn self. So when you think of that and we don't put it to use for our purposes, then yeah, there's a failure there. And that's what I speak to is the money doesn't circulate within my community. So we're not racist enough as a community. Black people, we're too giving. We want to spend our money everywhere else to show that we're American or we can assimilate. And nobody else really does that, you know? So they got us really mind fucked. So yeah,
well, you
man.
know, and Ted Kaczynski's
Racism is a slippery slope. There's nothing wrong with racism, but black people are taught to think racism is a problem. That's why whenever we cry about it, like you just said, other people look at that as weak, and we keep thinking that we need some sympathy. And now the Democrats have given black people that sympathy. So
Right.
that's even scarier to me too, is because we're already tied into the state of free money. What's that shit called?
Welfare?
Welfare. So now the Democrats are even like, we'll give you more welfare. You
Yeah.
know, we'll give you more stimulus. Fuck it, we'll take care of you. So yeah, man, that shit's a joke, bro. Because they're never gonna fulfill the freedom that we're looking for by just giving you something. That shit always comes with conditions.
Oh yeah, and it's always with these new deals,
Right?
right? Now you got the Green New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
Franklin Roosevelt had the, I think his was just called the New Deal.
Yeah.
And then Kennedy had the New Frontier. I think his was called the New Frontier, and now this one's called the Green New Deal.
Because Reconstruction was never fulfilled.
Yeah.
What they promised during Reconstruction. So
Yeah.
it's all a farce, man.
Yeah.
Looking for government to save the day. People have warned us about that ideology for a long time. Shit, you already just broke down how the California has been under lock and key for a long time, and I'm sure we can find many other cases similar to that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, we just broke down California for you people because that's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, and report back to us if you got anything for us to look into from the states or the countries where you're at, especially other countries. I would love to hear from some other people outside of the states.
Yeah. Let me finish this letter real quick, and then we'll move on.
For sure.
He paid me a compliment by saying that I spoke better German than any white American or Englishman he had ever heard. He hastened to say, however, that he had heard that Negroes were natural-born imitators. Perhaps that accounted for my good pronunciation and enunciation of the master language. He put in quotation marks, joking around. Egotism in evidence throughout the evening. He appeared calm and intensely interested. Are you doing a dab?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I want one, please.
Are you sure?
And interested in what I said and how I said it. Although he spoke loudly, deliberately, and with finality, he never lost his poise and composure. Egotism and a sense of superiority were in constant evidence. Before I left, he invited me to stop in to see him when next I visited Munich, where he had his headquarters. He instructed one of his guards to give me a picture of himself.
Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.